My name is Sofia Rivera. I'm 32, and I live just outside Denver. I've been working as an Uber driver for a couple of years now, mostly night shifts. I like the flexibility, and driving at night is usually peaceful. You meet all kinds of people: students, night workers, the occasional partygoer. But nothing ever felt unsafe. At least, not until last summer. That night changed everything for me. It was a Thursday night, around 10 p.m. I had already completed a few rides when I got a new request. The pickup was on a quiet suburban street. It wasn't an unusual spot. Those neighborhoods can be dead at night, but people still need rides. I accepted and headed over. When I pulled up, the street was eerily dark. Most of the houses had their lights off, and everything was silent except for the faint chirp of crickets. I checked the app again to make sure I was at the right address. Then, I noticed him. A man stepping out from the shadows near a flickering porch light. He was middle-aged, wearing a gray jacket, and moved stiffly toward my car. As he got in, I greeted him. "Hi, how's it going?" "Where to tonight?" He mumbled an address, barely loud enough for me to hear. It was about 20 miles away, on the edge of town. His tone was flat, almost robotic. I typed it into my GPS and started driving. The ride was quiet. Too quiet. Most people either make small talk or stay glued to their phones, but this man just stared out the window, unmoving. I tried asking where he was headed, hoping to break the silence, but he didn't answer. He didn't even glance at me. The air in the car felt heavy, like something was off, but I couldn't figure out what. As we got closer to the address, the area became more desolate. There were fewer streetlights and more abandoned-looking houses. When we finally arrived, the destination was a run-down home with boarded-up windows and an overgrown yard. The man suddenly seemed in a hurry. He reached into his pocket and handed me a wad of cash. Without a word, he got out of the car and walked briskly toward the house, disappearing into the shadows. Something about it all felt wrong, but I didn't want to stick around. I drove off, but a few miles down the road, curiosity got the better of me. I glanced at the cash he'd handed me. My heart sank. It was fake, clearly fake. The texture felt wrong, and the bills were poorly printed. Frustrated, I pulled over and called Uber support to report the scam. I explained everything: the ride, the address, the fake cash. But what they told me chilled me to my core. "Are you sure you picked someone up tonight?" the representative asked. "There's no record of a ride being requested in that area." "What do you mean?" I stammered. "I accepted the trip through the app." "There's nothing on your account for that time," they said. "It's like the trip never happened." I hung up, shaking, trying to process what I'd just heard. I thought maybe I'd made a mistake or that there was a glitch in the system. But the more I thought about it, the more unsettled I felt. When I got home, I couldn't let it go. Something about the whole experience gnawed at me. Out of curiosity, I checked the local news. That's when I saw his face. The man I had driven was on the front page. He had been reported missing 3 days earlier. The article said he'd last been seen at his home, the same address he had given me. He was presumed dead, though no body had been found. I couldn't breathe. The man I'd just driven was missing? Had been missing for days? My mind raced with questions I couldn't answer. Was he alive? Was someone pretending to be him? Or had I picked up something else entirely? I stopped driving night shifts after that. I still think about him, about his silence, the fake money, and the boarded-up house. Some things don't have answers, and I don't think I want to know what the truth really is. My name is Mark Thompson. I'm 26, and I live in Chicago. I've been driving for Uber for about a year now. I've had all kinds of passengers, some friendly, some quiet, and some a little strange. But there was one ride that I can't stop thinking about. It still gives me chills when I remember it. It was a late Friday night, around 11 p.m. when I got a ride request. It was a woman, a little older than me, probably in her early 30s. Her pickup location was a quiet street near the outskirts of the city, so I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. I accepted the ride and drove to the address. When I pulled up, she was already standing outside, holding a small duffel bag. She was polite when she got in and said, "Hi, thanks for picking me up." But there was something off about her. She didn't make eye contact, and when I asked where she was headed, her answer was quick, almost too quick. "Just take me to 5th and Harrison." That was about 20 minutes away, but it wasn't far enough to make me nervous. She asked if she could sit in the back, which I thought was a little strange since most passengers sit in the front if there's room. But I didn't think much of it. I started driving, and she didn't say a word for the whole trip. She just stared out the window, clutching the bag tightly on her lap. Every now and then, I'd glance at her in the rearview mirror, but she never looked up, like she was lost in her thoughts. When we got to the destination, she pointed to a rundown building and said, "This is it. I'll be right back. Just wait for me." I nodded, thinking she would be gone for just a minute. But after 5 minutes passed, I started to feel uneasy. 10 minutes went by, 15, no sign of her. I sat there, looking at the duffel bag in the back seat. Something in my gut told me I should check it, but I kept thinking she'd be back any second. After about 20 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed the bag and opened it. Inside were stacks of cash, all neatly wrapped with rubber bands, and underneath the money, there was a small handgun. My heart dropped into my stomach. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what I had just stumbled into, but I knew it wasn't good. Panicking, I immediately drove straight to the nearest police station. I explained everything to them: the woman, the bag, the money, the gun. They took the bag and began questioning me. A few hours later, they called me back. Turns out, the woman was wanted for multiple armed robberies around the city. The cash in the bag was likely stolen, and the gun was probably used in those crimes. The investigators told me I was lucky she didn't turn on me during the ride. I still can't believe it. If she had decided to pull that gun on me, I might not have made it out of that car alive. Every time I get into my car now, I remember that night. My name is Linda Harris. I'm 38 years old, and I live in Seattle. I've been driving for Uber for about 3 years now. I mostly enjoy it. It gives me flexibility, and I get to meet all kinds of people. But there's one ride that I'll never forget. It was one of those times when you just feel something isn't right, and thank God I trusted my gut. It started like any other night. I got a ride request around 9 p.m. from a downtown hotel. I pulled up to the front, and a well-dressed man, probably in his late 40s, got in. He was wearing a suit, but his face looked tense, almost like he was in a hurry. "Hi, where are we headed?" I asked as I pulled out into the traffic. He handed me an address, but as I started driving, he suddenly said, "Actually, take a left here. I need to go somewhere else first." I wasn't sure, but I did what he asked. Then, a few minutes later, he changed his mind again. "Wait, turn around. I need to go to a different spot." I was starting to feel uneasy. Why couldn't he just pick a destination? It didn't make any sense, but I kept driving, trying to stay professional. Then, things took a strange turn. He told me to pull into a remote industrial area. There were no lights, no people around. It was dead quiet. "Just wait here," he said, glancing around nervously. "My friend will be here in a minute." I felt my heart race. Something about it didn't sit right with me. I wasn't about to pull over in that area. "Sorry, I need to head back into the city," I said, trying to stay calm. "I need to get gas." He didn't take that well. "Turn the car around," he shouted, his voice getting louder. "I said, turn around." I could see his hands shaking, and that only made me more nervous. I didn't want to argue, so I drove a little farther, then pulled into a nearby gas station. As soon as I stopped, I locked the doors and bolted into the restroom. I wasn't taking any chances. I stayed in there until I saw him leave the station. When I finally felt safe, I left the restroom and drove home. The next day, I looked up that industrial area and found out it had a bad reputation. Known for criminal activity, a lot of it drug-related. I couldn't stop thinking about what might have happened if I hadn't trusted my gut. That man could have had something planned for me. I still drive, but I've learned to trust my instincts a lot more now. Have you ever had an Uber ride that turned into a nightmare? We'd love to hear your spine-chilling experiences. Drop your stories in the comments below and share the moments that made you question getting into a car with a stranger. If you were disturbed by these unsettling tales, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more horror stories. Be sure to check out our other videos for more shocking stories. Stay cautious, stay aware, and remember, you never know who you're really riding with. See you in the next video.